Good afternoon, listeners. This is Bob Quinlan, your host here on Quinlan Care Finance on Harlem Talk Radio. We talk about topics for the baby boomers and their families. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Annette Gallagher, and Annette is with a company called Weemba, W-E-E-M-B-A. Annette is the CEO, and we're very happy and very pleased to have her with us this afternoon. Annette, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Could you give our listeners a little bit of background in terms of yourself and how you came to be with this company?
Sure. I've been with Weemba for almost a year now, and prior to that, I've done marketing and public relations for a variety of entities, both for-profit and non-profit as a consultant. I've done a lot of work in the new world of social media, and I came to Weemba like I said, about a year ago, and have worked with creating their user experience, setting up social media programs, and marketing and public relations.
Why don't you tell our listeners, first off, a little bit about the name? It's certainly an unusual name, and then once you get into the name portion of the conversation, tell us certainly about what the company does.
Okay. Well, right now, Weemba doesn't mean anything. It's an internet word like Yahoo or Yelp. And it doesn't have a meaning that is intrinsic to the word, but we're confident that sooner than later it's going to mean the place that you go to revolutionize the way that borrowers and lenders connect and to multiply your chances of getting a loan. The way that Weemba works is that borrowers, both individuals and businesses, are able to register. There is never a fee to anyone who is a borrower. They're able to register online with the site, and then they are able to post their loan needs for lenders to see. They post protected by a nickname, and so no one can associate the information.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
What do you mean by post? Could you tell our listeners what you mean by posting a loan need? What does that really mean?
Yes. What we let them do is create what we call a loan project. They're able to detail everything from the amount of money that they want to borrow, how long they want to borrow it, the reason they want to borrow it, and then describe in their own words exactly what they want to use the money for, how they plan to repay the loan, and other information about themselves. They can detail through a drop-down menu series of questions, information about their income level, their education level, whether they are a veteran or not, and a whole bunch of other information that really builds a rich financial profile of each borrower. And there are, obviously very different pieces of information provided for individuals versus businesses. They also have the opportunity to upload files to support their loan need, such as proof of income, tax returns, business plans, photographs. If you are looking to buy a home and you've got an appraisal of that home, you're welcome to upload it, or blueprints, photographs of the neighborhood, anything that will make the project attractive to lenders. All of that goes into what we call a loan project. So when they create the loan project, after they finish their borrower registration, they create that loan project and they publish it. Once they've published it, then lenders are able to search through those loan projects by a variety of pieces of information. Everything
Obviously,
that they provide.
This is all secure information in terms of publishing it. Certainly doesn't go out on the Internet. It stays only within the purview of your company in terms of who can actually see it, correct?
Well, everything is, that's an interesting question. Everything is visible to a point on the Internet to anybody who comes to www.weemba.com. There are some pieces of information.
Could you spell that for our listeners so they could perhaps jot that down?
Sure. That's www, and then Weemba is WEEMBA.com. And anybody who visits the site can see a certain amount of information about each loan project. But every project is protected by a nickname. We make the borrowers choose a borrower ID that cannot include any portion of their real name, their social security number, their phone number. None of that personally identifying information can be included in that borrower ID. So even though they provide a lot of very personal information if they choose to do so, nobody can associate the information they provide to the person's real identity. So lenders are able to search through all of the loan projects by everything from amount to reason to the credit score of the borrower.
Just to stop you for a moment. Just
to
stop you for a moment. So the personal information, like their tax information or specific information with regard to a house that they're thinking of purchasing, the exact address, that would be protected information to the rest of the world, correct?
Yes, sir. That is, the files are locked, and only when a lender looks at the borrower's profile and says, I want to know more about this person, including who they really are and how to contact them, then the lender sends sort of a friend request. We call it an authorization request, but it's like getting a friend request in Facebook. And just like on Facebook, you know exactly who is sending you that friend request. So even though the borrowers are completely protected by a nickname, the lenders are transparent. So they know that it's Annette Gallagher at SunTrust who is asking to see who they really are. And so they can choose, by knowing the name of the institution that's asking, whether to say yes or no to that friend request. If they say yes, then the lender is able to see everything about them, their social security number, their address, their phone number, all of those private files that are not visible to the rest of the world are then visible to that lender and only to that lender.
How would our listeners, how would our listeners or a user know about SunTrust? In other words, let's think of the extreme case of where SunTrust being, do you do diligence on these lenders? In other words, is there
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, every lender goes through a registration process as well, and one of us has to physically sort of flip a switch to allow that lender to participate in the system. So even though they can, if they want to, do the bulk of their registration online, there is still a person from Weemba who has to verify that registration, that that lender is real, that lender is a professional lender in the business of lending money. There are no individuals who operate as lenders within Weemba, and that person or that entity is licensed, if required, in the states in which they operate. Only then can that lender get access to this information about people. We're very careful about that.
Well, that's certainly, for the obvious reasons, are very important, and I'm glad you went into detail on that whole vetting process. Very, very important.
I agree, and I think that's very important to make people feel comfortable about the whole process and who is going to get access to their information, is that idea that this is only professional lenders. We're not a peer-to-peer network. There are no individuals.
Could you give our listeners an idea of the types of projects that you have actually funded or have matched up? You obviously are not funded. I'll restate
Yes, we're not funding anything. Yeah,
right.
And we actually don't match the borrowers to the lenders. The lenders find the borrowers themselves, and then the borrowers say yes or no to the friend request. But we are still considered sort of an online financial matchmaker, in the sense of that this is the place, this is the tool. The tool is actually the matchmaker, but there's nobody sitting here matching borrowers to lenders. We're seeing a lot of activity. The lenders are very interested in anything that is mortgage or property related. About 65% of the requests that have been made by lenders to see who a borrower really is are related to a mortgage, a home improvement loan, a home equity line of credit, or a second mortgage. Then we've got about another 10% that are related to small businesses. And then from there, it's random. There's a little bit of lines of credit. There's a little bit of vehicle. There's a little bit of other personal loans. There's a little bit of other activity going on. But lenders are very, very interested in anything that is related to mortgages and property.
How competitive? One question comes to mind. How competitive? Interest rates are very low today. So let's say just put a number out there. Someone could get a 30-year mortgage at 4%. That's kind of a ballpark figure today. How competitive are you finding your lenders are in terms of providing good value for people for the borrowers themselves? How competitive are you finding those matches?
Well, we actually don't know, because once the borrower accepts a friend request from a lender, then all of their further activity, discussion, and negotiation take place outside the website. So we don't know what the terms of that loan are. We don't even know in cases where there are multiple friend requests given to a single borrower, we don't know which lender the borrower decided to go with. That's not, and that's part of what separates us from the brokerage world, is that we don't have any vested interest. We certainly don't have a financial interest in whether or not a loan is made. We just provide the tools for the borrowers to get in front of the lenders in as attractive a manner as they can to try to get those lenders interested in them and increase their chances.
How does Weemba, how do you folks get compensated? What is your revenue model?
Once a lender sends a friend request to a borrower, if the borrower says yes to that friend request, and only if they say yes, then the lender pays us a flat fee. It is not a percentage of the deal. It is just a simple flat fee for the introduction to a borrower that they already know that they are 90% sure they can do business with.
And it's just a flat fee.
Yeah, exactly,
so
just a flat fee.
The borrowers aren't paying anything. It comes from the lender.
Exactly. There is never a fee for a borrower to use Weemba, and in fact, we even give them a no-cost credit score from a top-tier provider, an individual credit score or a commercial credit score, depending on if they register, of course, as a business or an individual. We give them a credit score at no cost in order to help them best present themselves to lenders.
Do you have people on staff that helps people put these packages together? In other words,
we don't tell them what to do. We will, if we're asked. Certainly, we give advice. We do, when we see people, post without a credit score, we send them a little note saying, hey, it's a great idea to add this. There's no cost to you. It's also, and this is very, very important for people to know, it is a no-impact credit score. It's what's called a soft pool. It's for informational purposes only, and this is what a credit bureau gives you when you're not applying for credit. It's an educational score that is used to give you a level of information about your current financial status, but it's not the score. It's not a FICO-based score, and it is not a score that is used when you're actually trying to get credit. When you apply for car insurance, they may look at your credit score, but you're not actually applying for credit. So that doesn't show as an impact on your credit report that somebody was asking for your credit score, where if you go in to get a car loan and they pull your credit, then that shows as, such and such lending institution looked at your credit because you are asking for credit.